Hey y'all, did you see that little black object down there in the bottom right? There's something really small. I think it was a dog that was walking around that field. I'm going to have to go back and look at that. But anyway, kind of weird, some of the things you see on time-lapse. Not much else to look at though. Clear skies, and it's pretty much just like summer here in Texas. And this does happen a lot this time of year. Let's head into the current map and we'll see what's causing all this. There we go. Let me know if the volume levels are a little bit hot. One of my meters is pegging here, so I'm going to take it down just a tiny bit, but let me know how it sounds. Okay, we'll take it down to about 2 decibels there. All right, so for tonight's weather, let's check it out. Looking at the thickness and isobars. This is a chart that comes from the National Centers for Environmental Prediction. So this is kind of an official chart here, and what we're looking at here is a 3-hour forecast showing the weather basically for right now. It's actually a 6-hour forecast, and you can see the very strong baroclinicity up to the north. This whole area where all the thickness lines, red and blue, where they're very packed together, that tells us where the frontal zones are. So there's a couple of them, one out here in the Pacific, another one back up through British Columbia. And then there's areas where there's more of a barotropic type flow, so very little temperature advection. So that would be out here in Texas, underneath this ridge here. This is an extension of the Bermuda High right there, and you can see pretty much no baroclinicity in that, so that's a barotropic feature. Likewise, up in the Arctic, this is Arctic air in its source region, and up here you can see there's very little baroclinicity, maybe a little bit up here north of the North Slopes, but for the most part up here, since that's a air mass source region, there's not much temperature advection. That would actually take a upper level system to really pick that up and send it southward and develop the baroclinicity, and that's often what we see in Canada this time of year. So where are the fronts? Pretty much just south of that thickness line, so roughly it's going to go like that. We can analyze it in more detail. So using a little bit more carefulness, or whatever the word is, we can come up through the Central Plains up to the Midwest like that, and that gives us the location of our fronts. So there we go. Thinking it's looking something like that right there. So roughly from south of Chicago to south of Des Moines through Kansas City down to about north of Tucumcari, into the Four Corners and out to Los Angeles. Wow, look at that strong gradient in Oregon. Northern Nevada, very strong thermal gradient there. So that's definitely the air behind a front. In fact, we may find the actual front, something like that right there. So we'll check out the surface data and figure out if we've got a southerly position or a more northerly position. But definitely, when you get into Oregon, it's getting to be like winter up in that area. Okay, let me take a look at the chat, make sure our audio is good. We've got Sue M with us, and Fun with Tech, Burl H, Mike R from Smoke Choked San Francisco, Ron Chalfant there in Southern California, getting ready for Santa Ana winds. Veo Joe is here, and David Moore in the Metroplex, another hot day. I'm surprised how hot the temperatures are this time of the day. I'm showing 78.4 here. It was about 80 degrees when I was putting the videos together, and that's pretty much on par with what we see during the summertime. Justin Pulliam there, reporting good audio. David Moore looking for that change in the Metroplex Saturday night. Mike R. says today has been by far the worst in the San Francisco area. Changes in store next week, finally. Soaking rain, yes. Ron Chalfant, fingers crossed. Ron is just down the San Joaquin Valley and up in the mountains north of L.A. Mike R. says this is the worst he's seen. The devastation is equal to a hurricane in terms of damage from the fires there. 4,000 homes destroyed. Oh, man. Veo Joe reporting 70 degrees in Illinois. Tree Nelson joining us. Mary Walsh there in northwestern Colorado. Really, northwestern Colorado, that's kind of an unusual area. I know that we do have like Aspen out in this area here, Grand Junction. I don't know if that's where you're from. Northwestern Colorado, I don't know of anything up in this area here, like way up in the northwest. I think there's like a dinosaur park there, dinosaur remains and stuff up in that area, but for the most part, that's an area I need to visit sometime, just west of the Rockies there. Ron Chalfant lived in Southern California all his life, never seen anything like it. Oh man, sorry Carl Berghoff, stomach flu, past 24 hours. Yeah, that's a reminder I need to get a flu shot here before we get into winter. Okay, yeah, look at that pattern there. Where the smoke is, we've got kind of a good setup here for Santa Ana winds. We've definitely got the high pressure and high densities up there in northern Nevada. So that differential between that and the valleys and offshore areas in California, that pressure difference is what gets the Santa Ana flow going. So we'll take a look at the surface chart and see how much of that we've still got going on. So I'm going to head into digital atmosphere and we'll look at all the different regions. Texas here you can see with the southeast flow right there, 80s, dew points in the mid-60s, and that's a little bit drier than what we see during the summer. So we're getting some fairly mild nights, and we've got 65 for dew point at Dallas and 69 in Austin, a little bit more moist down in that area. In the desert southwest, this is a pretty classic pattern for a monsoon, and you can see right in this area here we've got convergence coming into New Mexico. So the flow is looking kind of like that, and that's due to the very intense heating in the high terrain out here. 82 there, looks like maybe truth or consequences, maybe in that area. 80, I guess that would be Socorro. I don't know that area too well, but these temperatures are well above average. And if we look at the potential temperature, let me see if I can bring that up. Yeah, I like this chart a lot. This is the potential temperature. This is reducing the temperatures down to 1,000 millibars, which is about pretty close to sea level. And what we see here is the thermal ridge right there over New Mexico. So no wonder we have inflow coming into that region from all sides. And even up into western Colorado and up to central Wyoming, a little bit of thermal ridging in that area. So yeah, we do get a little bit of a wind coming into that region right there. So this area, low pressure and convergence marking that region. The potential temperature map does show the very strong gradient there in northern Nevada. So it does look like the front is probably further up north, and we can see southwest winds right there at Desert Rock. What we should do is look at the surface chart and really pin that down. Let me go out west. Okay, and there we go. There's current temperatures there. There is a northeast wind there at Las Vegas, which is a little bit suspect, but for the most part, southwest winds through the lower desert areas. And 61 degrees, that's kind of warm there. 66, definitely warm. So, yeah, I would put that front kind of in this area here. And look at that. When you go up north into the high deserts of Oregon, 30s at this hour. So that's definitely where the cold air is. And even 34 right there at that one station in southeast Oregon. And let's put up the potential temperature. And we can see the very strong gradient in that area, running something like that. And what we really need to do is tone down the smoothing. So let me do that. You can do this in digital atmosphere pretty easily. Go to analysis and bring the smoothing down. And that'll really help the gradients stand out. And you definitely need that when you're analyzing out in the western U.S. So there we go. Now the gradients are really standing out here. It's a little bit indeterminate in this area right here, but definitely by the time you get into Oregon, temperatures below normal in that region. So I'm probably going to put the front maybe something just tentatively kind of like that right there. And then when you get south of there, you can see the weak potential temperature gradient through that area right there. Then elsewhere, let's go into the Central Rockies. Very warm conditions there at Grand Junction and Durango down to Farmington. So this is all tropical air. And I would say that tropical air extends even all the way up to Vernal and some of these towns way up in northeast Utah. So I would probably place the cold front kind of like that. And then it looks like it links up with a Canadian air mass. See those easterly winds there in Colorado? This is originating from this region right here. So I think that's going to be mostly banked up against the front range. Something like that right there. So there we go. There's the tail end of that front. And you can see we go from westerlies around Taos and Raton, and then up to easterlies on the high plains right there like that. So I think what's happening is we've got kind of a situation, looks like maybe like this. So this is all the northwesterly cold air feeding in the backside across Yellowstone and the Tetons. And then on the east side, I think we've got a little bit of a tropical air mass kind of stuck in between. And then, I don't know, it gets kind of indeterminate in here. I think we're probably doing something like that. Because these temperatures here in northeastern Wyoming, those are above normal. 55 there, pretty warm. So I'm going to go with something probably like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for the frontal positions. And you would kind of take that and just kind of use that to monitor changes as you're forecasting your area there. You can see data corruption there in North Dakota. This is where it's helpful to have quality control of your data. So I can basically just drag over that area, and then I can start looking at the quality control. So I will basically go through this, and I will look at temperature in elevation and make sure everything looks good. It's probably going to be a temperature problem, so I'm going to go quickly through this. 12, 8 there at that one station, 11, 8, and I'm going to find the plot that's causing problems. There it is. Minus 25. I don't think that's happening there, so I'm going to delete that. And then when we redo the analysis, our problems will be gone. And look at that. looks much better there. So this is one way you can correct these problems that pop up on your map. Okay, let's head into the rest of the forecast, and let's see here. We'll start out. We'll just do a very quick region by region of what's happening. I kind of like these charts because they kind of show what's happening at the mesoscale. So currently, what we're looking at for today, this is the current map. Some of the higher elevations there below freezing, and that's because of the very steep lapse rates in this area where we have upper level troughing. So it's kind of an unstable pattern there. And then in the valleys, just kind of cool, mild temperatures. So over the next 24 hours, looks like we've got cold air being produced. Look at that blue blooming through this area. Some very cold temperatures there. So this looks like a lot of polar air production taking place in that region. Okay, then for the desert southwest, let's take a look at that area. A little bit of warming there in the San Joaquin Valley, up to almost 80. So that's having an effect there on the wildfires. Very light northerly flow. Doesn't really look like much of a Santa Ana wind. However, there is some very dense air up to the north, and that's helping to keep northerly components in place there. So over the next 24 hours, what we're looking at is, looks like cold air coming in. Let's compare that to 12 hours ago. Okay, so this is tomorrow morning. This morning it looked like that. So definite cold air advection taking place there. So let's bring that up to tomorrow morning. Yeah, look at that. Lots of 20s and 30s in the high deserts of Nevada. So yeah, that's going to cause a bit of a pressure and density differential, and that will get the Santa Anas going again. And yeah, there's some north winds there, 15 knots there in the San Francisco, Sacramento, and Marysville, Stockton area. Okay, so then after that, looks like the polar air production kind of ramps down. However, it remains kind of cool in the valleys at night, 50s. And let's head out to the east. Let's take a look at Texas. Obviously very hot with that southerly flow. And you can see how hot things were today. Lots of 90s. Even a few temperatures close to 100 there around Pecos. But up to the north, we've got a front coming in from the Kansas, Nebraska area. There it is. Not much of a push there. And it just kind of stalls out. And then heads back north as a warm front. Looks like another little mesolow comes together in Kansas tomorrow. And then behind that, we get a good push of cold air coming in from the north. And there it is. So this is going to be tomorrow night. And the model is expecting that to hit Dallas-Fort Worth sometime around 5 in the morning, Sunday. And then through the rest of the Texas area on Sunday morning. And behind that, 50s and 60s. So for highs on Sunday, we're going to be looking at probably 60s and a few 70s around Texas right there. This air does have a downslope component. That's the reason it's kind of warm. See that right there? It's got a Pacific origin, so not as much cooling with that, but it's definitely a change from what we've had over the past week or so. For the southeast U.S., just continued warm weather there. A little bit of a cold air source up in the Carolinas. We'll have to take a look at that right there. There is a little bit of a northerly component. You see that right there. Let's go back to the thickness map and just kind of put things together here. Yeah, we've got this little backdoor ridge right there across Virginia and the Carolinas. And this is a baroclinic high right there. So, yeah, a little bit of a cold air source coming there from the Carolinas, keeping things kind of mild. So let's see what kind of temperatures we're going to get tomorrow. Well, starting out 67 in Atlanta. That's a little bit on the mild side, and then only up to 76 degrees there. And then some 70s and a few low 80s in the Carolinas. Okay, then for the northeast U.S., we've got that departing high-pressure area, so we will have kind of a warming trend. Temperatures coming up over the next 24 hours, and then we get just by Sunday and Monday, southerly flow in advance of the next system out west. And let me see if we have a Midwest sector. Yeah, I don't have a Midwest sector. I'm going to have to get that fixed up. But we can look at the central U.S. and let's check that out. This is going to show that push of cold air. And there it is right there. This is on Saturday evening. And that's being caused by all of this cold air here over Colorado and Wyoming, and some of the snowpack on the higher elevations there. So lots of 30s and 40s, and that will be heading into the Midwest area for the weekend. Okay, a quick look at the visible imagery. We'll check that out. Looks like earlier today a little bit of stratus there in the Iowa and Nebraska region. Elsewhere, pretty clear. Texas showing a little bit of tropical cumulus in that region. And then out west we see that smoke. We can zoom way in on that. This is the San Francisco Bay Area, and we're looking at the smoke there from the, I think that's the Napa County area. And there's one of the fires right in that region, and the northerly flow carrying that smoke right into the San Francisco and Oakland area there. Very extensive smoke cover, and we can look at the map yesterday. So yeah, I mean, this has been going on for kind of quite a while there. There's the smoke back on the 11th. On the 10th, we had that flowing to the northeast. And then we had a different flow on the 9th that was heading more offshore. And then I guess that fire started on either late on the 8th or on the 9th there. So that's the first frame where it started. So yeah, that was quite a mess there. Good grief. I don't think I've ever seen that color on the polar orbiter imagery. That's a very dense brown color. So hopefully we will get this under control. And there's a latest map. So yeah, it does look like the models are bringing the winds up with this next surge. Let me just check this over one more time. So around the Bay Area, let's see, 5 knots overnight. Yeah, light and variable. And then when we start building in that cold air, let's see here. This is going to be tomorrow night. No, I'm sorry, this is tonight. Yeah, this is where the winds start picking up here. Polar air production on Saturday morning. Yeah, so this is going to be starting up probably late tonight. into tomorrow morning, and then during the day. Yeah, we're showing a lot of 15-knot winds out in the north, so I don't know exactly what the status is on the fire or how much under control they have it, but it does look like the winds will be picking up during the day tomorrow and causing some problems there. Winds die down overnight, though, and then for Sunday, things look a little bit better there, although pretty warm. Okay, so let's just go ahead and wrap it up into the forecast, and I'll take a look at chat. And before I do that, I'll let y'all look at the infrared imagery. Actually, we better look at the 5-day tropical weather outlook. We had something coming up towards Florida on the very, very extended outlook, but it looks like that's not in range yet. We do have this one system. Looks like something developing along the Leeward Islands, and that'll be probably recurving towards Bermuda. Okay, so there's our infrared imagery, and that's showing the monsoon pattern there. Convergence and low pressure, bringing some moisture into the higher elevations, and we're getting some storms forming in that area there. Okay, quite a bit of chat in here, so I'm just going to kind of skim through this. Ryan pointing out a storm brewing in the tropics east of the Lesser Antilles, marked for further development, and that's what we just looked at. Ophelia way out there towards Europe, and I think that'll be coming on shore in Ireland over the weekend. Yeah, Ron Chalfant mentioned we should have a digital atmosphere session. Pretty good idea. We'll try to do that this fall when I get the book finished. That's still underway there. Digital atmosphere lesson, Sue M supporting that. Also, Ryan. Okay, yeah, we'll get that done here soon. Ryan mentioning that they're expecting 50 to 60 knot winds around the entire area this weekend. Yeah, we haven't even looked at wind gusts, and let me bring up a map that shows that. Now, to get to this, what you do is you go to the High Resolution Rapid Refresh. That's at NOAA. And that will go to a special site where these mesoscale models are maintained. So they only go out to about 16Z here, so this is something you would have to kind of keep tabs on as the night goes on. But I can pull up some frames here for Central California. And as you scroll down, you can see that we've got a lot of options here. And among them is the 10-meter wind, along with the wind gust. That's it right there. So that's something that you would look at, the 10-meter wind gust. Yeah, let me see if I can follow along without losing my place here. Yeah, we'll look at how things appear on the very last frame. So this is Central California here at 16Z. This is going to be about 9 in the morning. So good grief. You can see here we're expecting, looks like 40-knot winds, I think in some of the valley areas there. See the scale here? The red is where you start picking up 35, the purple at 40, and wow, that's just looks like just west of Sacramento. I believe that's Sacramento right there. And then Oakland and San Francisco here, and the fires are taking place in that area right there. So yeah, looks like some wind heading into that area. And let me see if I can pull up an animation of that. Hopefully this doesn't hurt the stream too much, but we're loading it up. Okay, and doesn't look like it's doing anything. Got kind of a blank frame. Oh, there it goes. It's a little bit buggy. Okay. So let's see how things shape up there around Central California. Let me make sure you can see this. There we go. Okay, so this is the valid time here. This is going to be 4Z. So this is just a couple of hours from now. And then overnight, we're looking at pretty much about 5 to 10 knots. And looks like winds pick up. Let me see what yellow is. Yellow is going to be 20 knots. Yeah, I don't know if that's a bug or what, because the previous hour it was only about 30. It could be maybe that is true. Maybe we are starting to get a little bit of a surge of wind there coming out of the north. Let me take a look at the wind plot. And yeah, those are northerly winds. I guess we are looking at a surge of cold air there from the Northern California area. So yeah, it looks like a little bit of trouble in that area for tomorrow. Okay, let's go ahead and get the GFS queued up. And we'll look at our forecast. Okay, and one last look at the chat here. Little discussion about the smoke. Thick smoke has grounded some of the aircraft missions to the fire. 70 flights canceled at San Francisco. Mike Bexley received the book. Good to hear there. Once the winds go over 40 knots, you can't fly safely at low levels. Yeah, well, at least it looks like the wind event will be kind of short. Should be gone by later tomorrow night, it looks like. Anyway, this is starting out the sequence here. So 3Z, this is, you can see all the cold air right there in Oregon and Idaho. So that's what's going to be coming over the mountain passes and heading into the San Joaquin Valley. Okay, so overnight, this is how things are going to look, and you can see the very strong pressure gradient right there in California. This is tomorrow morning about 5 in the morning. And then that gradient kind of turns a little bit more northwest-southeast, and then we see the radiation inversion decouple. And that's probably when the winds are really going to start picking up. The leading edge of the front is going to be running something like that right there. Then by the time we do the weathercast tomorrow night, looks like that cold front will be coming down into Texas. And then we've got a low pressure area there in Iowa that will be heading for the Great Lakes area. Looks like a few storms developing along that front. It's definitely got the look of a what we call an Anna front, and that's where a lot of the precip is behind the front. So there's probably a component of wind kind of ascending the frontal boundary, and that's producing most of the precip behind the front right there. So that's one example there of an Anna front. So there's our front coming quickly through the Great Lakes area, through Michigan, overnight into Saturday night. And then by the time we do the webcast on Sunday, That front will have pushed through much of the central U.S., most of Texas there, high pressure in Kansas, and the front moving through the northeastern U.S. there. Very strong cold air advection in the wake of that front right there. And looks like conditions kind of moderate there in the Rockies and in California. For Monday night, high pressure covering most of the U.S., pretty quiet. A little bit of a northerly flow in Florida there. And this has the look of a conditional symmetric instability pattern. Looks like a little bit of maybe upglide in that area, maybe a few showers in that region. And then going into Wednesday and Thursday, it looks like things get busy out west again. This system goes more through Canada. In the Great Plains, just southerly flow. High pressure settling in over the Appalachians, and that'll be heading to the southeast. Then for Thursday and Friday, just very deep southerly flow. Temperatures coming up once again. And then we have more weather out west as a new front comes together. So that's going to be late in the week, and that'll come across the Rockies. Very strong system there coming through Utah, Arizona, and Wyoming. Looks like probably something like that right there. That'll be crossing the Rockies Friday night into Saturday. Then for Saturday, the 21st, on the webcast, we'll have that finally emerging out into the plains. So there's the cold front right there. Behind it, a lot of unstable air, snow showers in the mountains. And then we'll see that emerge onto the plains Sunday into Monday. So there we go. Thunderstorms firing Sunday, moving quickly eastward. So good chances for thunderstorms across the Central Plains on Sunday. And moving out into the Mississippi River Valley, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some severe watches out in this area here. And there we go. System moves out eastward Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay. And then another cold outbreak coming in for Thursday, driven by this 1040 millibar high. Lots of cold air coming southward. So this is going to be on the 26th. And wow, look how far that 540 line comes down. So yeah, snow is possible all the way south into the Carolinas, into Missouri, if there's any source of upward motion. And looks like snow showers on the Great Lakes too. This is a very strong, that's a very strong push of cold air for the 25th and 26th, so we'll watch that there. And then behind it, looks like we have one more surge coming in for the 29th. So I think we're going to, if this actually happens, I guess we're going to really cool down as we get into the last week of October. And I'm hoping that this is not the cold bias that we keep seeing with the GFS. The European model doesn't go out this far, so I can't really check that. But anyway, that's just something to keep an eye on here. All right, I think that's about all I got for today. I'm going to go ahead and get back to work on the book. So anyway, I appreciate you all watching the webcast, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Take care and have a good evening.